Pachter, CEO of Long Island Cares and the Harry Chapin Food Bank, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bread at Long Island Cares, our program on YouTube where we expose you to what's going on Long Island in terms of hunger and food insecurity, but every now and then, and hopefully more now than then, we bring people in from outside organizations who we really enjoy working with, who have very important stories to tell. And today, my guest is someone with a very important story to tell. Kim Brussell is the Vice President for Public Relations and Marketing at the Viscardi Center. If you've never heard of the Viscardi Center and you live on Long Island, you're really not a Long Islander. The Viscardi Center has been around for many, many years, founded by the late Dr. Henry Viscardi, a pioneer in services for the developmentally disabled. And they are one of our most historic and wonderful organizations. Kim, welcome to Breaking Bread. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having us here.
It's our pleasure. So first, for those that have never heard of, which I doubt that there may be even two people that never heard of it, what is the Viscardi Center and what is your mission?
So the Viscardi Center is located in Albertson, and we really are transforming the lives of children and adults with disabilities. And we serve a wide range of people with disabilities, both visible and visible. And we are doing it through what we call our 3 E's. All of our programming focuses around education, employment, and empowerment. So it's everything from our really unique Henry Viscardi School that serves children with severe physical disabilities who are medically fragile, through our program in high schools with developmental disability youth and at-risk youth, as well as adults. So we're really covering the entire lifespan from pre-K all the way up to seniors and golden years.
When we talk about developmental disabilities, I would imagine that many people feel, oh, developmental disabilities, we go back to remembering, oh, mental retardation, the Willowbrook Institute. We talk about people with cerebral palsy. Oh, yes, the people in the wheelchairs and using the braces. We have come so far in terms of who a person with a developmental disability is. You mentioned it's children all the way through the golden years. Some of the populations that you work with in your school, in your vocational programs, talk to me about who they are, because it's not just children in wheelchairs.
No, absolutely, Paul. And I'd like to think about when you think about some of the stories of the individuals that we served. You know, when I first began at the Viscardi Center 10 years ago, I met this young man who was in 7th grade, and he literally is one of about 24 people in the entire world with this orthopedic disability that he has, and he's only about 3 feet tall. And he said to me, I'm going to be the valedictorian of my graduating class. And I said, what a great goal, Chris. So fast forward 6 years later, he truly became the valedictorian of the class of 2016 at the Henry Viscardi School, and he went on to earn a degree at Adelphi University. He attended the School of Journalism at Columbia University, and he's now working at a media outlet in New York City. So I think what we now know today is that people with disabilities can do just about anything. They just do it in a different way.
Yeah. One of the things that people may not know is also in terms of the adult population that you're working with, people with post-traumatic stress disorder or having been, the victim of war, because I know you work with a lot of veterans at the center. Let's talk about the population, the adult population, especially the veterans, because we have a program here for veterans outreach and also work to find veterans employment, and the staff has been very successful. You know, it's one thing to tell a person that a veteran is coming to a food pantry and then they get all upset and angry that, are you kidding me? A veteran, they served our country, is going to food pantries? Why? But then there are also many veterans who have been injured, who have suffered a physical injury. And, to have a wonderful organization like the Viscardi Center available to them. Talk about the veteran population if you can.
Sure. Our roots really go back to veterans. What many people don't know is that when Dr. Viscardi started the center in 1952, it was primarily to employ veterans who were returning from World War II and the Korean conflict. And his goal was to show that individuals like veterans with disabilities could be productive employees. So we originally started doing assembly work for the Department of Defense and Grumman and IBM. And he started out of a garage in West Hempstead. His first year, he employed 57 people who other people thought were unemployable, primarily veterans. And then within 5 years, he had an organization that had over 300 individuals with disabilities working for him and over $1 million in sales. So we do see a lot of veterans who are coming back from conflicts, you know, with physical disabilities, and they have wonderful skills that they've learned in the military, and they just need that little bit extra help to really find out how they can translate the skills and the experiences that they've had during their military careers into the civilian workforce. So we're helping them through developing resumes, you know, that fit with organizations and corporations, as well as also helping them identify some wraparound supports that they might need once they're placed in employment.
When you talk about wraparound support, you know, we talk about other organizations in the community that can support the work that you're doing, whether it's housing or, as you said, employment or healthcare services. But you guys are very comprehensive in what you do. In many ways, I would refer to the Viscardi Center and the school as pretty much a one-stop organization where you can get all your needs met, beside the fact that you are renowned for some of the special events that you do, especially your annual sports event, you know, which brings out, you know, these personalities that, you know, people are really anxious to meet. Talk about organizations that you partner with in order to make sure that an individual with a developmental disability can move into a more independent, you know, environment for themselves. What kind of wraparound services are you providing?
Well, it could be anything from transportation, which we know is a huge barrier for any individual with a disability. Unfortunately, many people don't know that you even have to change buses at a county line to get from Suffolk County to Nassau County. So it could be anything like that. Healthcare, another, you know, wraparound service that we try to help individuals with. Hunger, unfortunately, a lot of the policies that are in place are really archaic, you know, at this point in time, which almost prevent individuals with disabilities from getting out of poverty or above the poverty line.
Absolutely. We don't think about that a lot. That, you know, people who, you know, receive government benefit programs, whether it's SSI or SSD, and then they get SNAP benefits as well. You know, everyone thinks that they're sitting back and, oh, they're getting all this money given to them, they can afford everything. That's not the case. And one of the reasons it isn't the case is because all of the restrictions that are placed upon these programs. One of the things that I think is just wonderful about your organization is getting families involved and getting the business sector involved. I know most recently the organization and your CEO were featured at a Long Island Association panel discussion on employment opportunities for people with developmental disabilities. You being in public relations and advertising and marketing, you've had some success, maybe a lot of success at it. Where do you get a lot of your community support from?
We've been seeing more and more organizations and companies getting involved with the Viscardi Center because people are starting to realize that it's an untapped talent pool. So the more that we can connect individuals with disabilities with employers, the better. And we're doing that through career fairs. We're doing that through companies coming in and doing mock interviews with our qualified candidates, which is preparing them for the actual interview process, but it's also giving employers the opportunity to really see the skills that these individuals can bring to their own workplaces. We're also bringing them together for internships, which is a little bit of, you know, a little testing ground for both
Certainly
the employer,
cutting edge, for sure.
as well as the candidate. So those are some of the ways that we're starting to see businesses and organizations get involved more.
And there are really some excellent examples in the community, in our environment, the business environment, of people really embracing corporate social responsibility when it comes to people with developmental disabilities and physical disabilities. One that stands out immediately for me because of our relationship with them is Stop and Shop. In my local Stop and Shop where I live, all of the packers at the end of the checkout lines are people with developmental disabilities or physical disabilities. And it's just so good to have a conversation with them, you know, while they're packing the bags. And one of the things you immediately see is they become very possessive of their job and a lot of pride in their job. So if you're standing at the end of the checkout line and you go to take a bag and put a can in it, it's like, whoa, I'll do that, sir. Great. What kind of jobs right now are we looking at that the people who come to Viscardi are getting involved in, other than the supermarkets?
So our training programs, you know, we've had a number over the years. Our biggest and most popular one right now is our culinary program, which we've just started offering as a hybrid program as well, so people can come to the center for part of the training and then also do some of it virtually, because they're really in-demand jobs right now. And it also gives us the opportunity to give them some hands-on experience in the real world, whether it's working in the cafeteria at the Viscardi Center, preparing some appetizers, et cetera, for some of our events, like our sports night event that you mentioned earlier. So that's one key area that we're doing training. And we're also doing a lot of work readiness training so that people are learning just the soft skills that some people take for granted: how to dress for a job, how to go through a conflict that you might be having on the job with a coworker or one of your employers. So those are the types of things that we're concentrating on right now.
And you've also done an excellent job at setting up work environments in your center.
Yes.
I remember when I came there a couple of years ago to meet with your previous CEO, one of the things that impressed me about the facility was the boutique that was set up, and I believe it was supported at the time by the Gap. You had all these fixtures, there were, you know, displays and cash registers, and, you know, it was such a good, conducive way to do training where you create a real work environment at the center that they're attending. In the minute or so that we have left, talk to me about the work you do with families, you know, because, you know, certainly with the children and certainly with the adolescents and maybe the young adults and maybe still with the adult population that have aged parents, because you have clients who are aging as well. What kind of support do families need when you have someone with a disability?
You know, Paul, you bring up a great question, because a lot of the individuals who go through our programs, particularly the students who come through Henry Viscardi School, as they get older, they realize the impact that the Viscardi community has not only on themselves but also their families, because it brings these families together who have a commonality. That they don't often have in their local, you know, community that they live. So we have a scepter, you know, we have our PTA during the school, but we also do socialization programs in the evenings and on the weekends that help families come together and learn and develop a support system.
That's such a, you know, critical part of the work that you do. If somebody needed to get in touch with the Viscardi Center, either to access services or to make a donation to support the wonderful work you do, how would they go about doing that?
I would direct them to our website, which is viscardicenter.org. And Paul, I also just want to say, you know, if there are individuals out there who are entering the workforce for the first time, they're looking for a career change, a second act, we always have job openings at the Viscardi Center. So if there are people who are looking for, you know, to find some type of meaningful work where you can truly make a difference every day, I would suggest that they also check our website out for our latest openings.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim. We have actually, unfortunately, ran out of time. I want to thank Kim Brussell, who is the Senior Vice President for Marketing and Advertising at the Viscardi Center. Wonderful organization on Long Island. Your website address is?
viscardicenter.org.
viscardicenter.org. If you really want to see one of the jewels of Long Island's nonprofit community, you really should log on to their website. And if you don't need the services that they provide, make a donation and support the wonderful work they do. I want to thank CardWorks, our sponsor for Breaking Bread, all the wonderful support they provide us. If you're in need of financial and accounting services, visit cardworks.com to get all the answers to your question. This is Paule Pachter, CEO of Long Island Cares, once again thanking you for breaking bread with us.